Hello and welcome once again everyone. Today's World of Warships video features the Tier 7 heavy British cruiser HMS Surrey. For those of you familiar with my channel will know I covered the Tier 6 heavy cruiser HMS Devonshire in my previous video, and I was pleasantly surprised to find how strong it was. If you are new to the channel and like what you see, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me gauge the popularity of these videos. As usual, I've included the full ship build, including upgrades and captain skills, after the main highlights, with the timestamp here on screen for your convenience. HMS Surrey, despite the many similarities to the Tier 6 Devonshire, comes with many improvements compared to her lower tier compatriot. For example, better concealment, stronger AA, increased main battery range, and faster reload times, just to mention a few. There are a few peculiarities, like decreased max speed and increased rudder shift time, but the positives far outweigh the negatives in the case of HMS Surrey. I'm happy to declare it's a general improvement all round, which is required to play Tier 7 matchmaking these days in World of Warships. The general consensus within the player base at the moment is that Tier 7 ships get up-tiered pretty often, making the life of a Tier 7 captain quite challenging. My own results bear this out in the Surrey. Of my first 12 games, 11 were pitted versus Tier 8 and Tier 9 matchmaking. Now, before you start thinking this is a rant about the matchmaking, I assure you it's not. It has more to do with forming a strategy you will need to employ to be effective in these games. In this particular match, it's same tier, but the strategy will remain the same: to harass enemy destroyers and cruisers as much as possible, while using islands to good effect, not only to break line of sight when necessary, but also to harness the high shell arcs of the British cruiser line to rain down fire on enemy battleships from protected positions. The Hawkins I've been harassing gets taken out by my friendly kamikaze, switching targets to the German cruiser York. HMS Surrey wields the exact same gun caliber and weapon layout as HMS Devonshire, but with subtle improvements. The reload speed comes down from 14 seconds to 12.5, and the firing range is extended from 14 kilometers to 14.8. It might not seem a lot at first glance, but these improvements have a significant influence on Surrey's flexibility. Those who have already played and practiced with these 203mm guns in the Devonshire, players can instantly hit the ground running with HMS Surrey and instantly feel the benefit from these buffs. Similar to the Devonshire, the real strength of these guns lies in the high fire chance. With the appropriate signal flags and demolition expert, HMS Surrey attains a whopping 21% fire chance with high explosive. This attribute alone will greatly help when up-tiered, and as I mentioned earlier, you will be facing higher tier opponents more often than not. Enemy Mitsuki is spotted, so I instantly open fire. Now the enemy team has at least 3 battleships here, behind that island that we know about. And despite being outnumbered here on this side, this is almost the perfect scenario for HMS Surrey to put her strengths into action. With the kamikaze out front, spotting and torping, playing the destroyer role, it slows the enemy advance, allowing me to control my range of engagement to between 12 to 14 kilometers. And while supported by the Julio Cesare, I can continue to hold a very strong kiting position and continue to rain down fire on this advancing force. Alas, the perfect scenario rarely lasts long during the heat of battle. The kamikaze has decided to smoke up, and our Julio has started to charge forward. And now, while many may consider the Tier 5 Italian battleship overpowered, There are 2 Tier 7s and a Tier 6 battleship. They're lying in wait, so this move is optimistic at best. The Nelson is the only remaining target as we begin to lose spotting, and there we have lost all spotting now on these battleships. I'm trying to tell them via the chat to fall back, but to no avail. All I can do in this situation is attempt to make the most of his sacrifice. And the Gato is pushing forward. The best play here is to remain angled away and attempt to set multiple fires. You can see he can do pretty decent penetration damage with these guns. Throw in the high fire chance and you can rack up some pretty decent damage numbers. Almost a 5k HE salvo there with one fire. Giulio Cesare is doomed. He's taken the full-on kamikaze approach while not playing the kamikaze. He's not even doing that much damage. The Nagato managed to bounce all his shells there. Do manage to get an additional fire. The Cesare goes down as predicted. And the kamikaze has got himself into a pickle now as well. He's gotten way too close to the Nagato. I am able to take out the Nagato. Enemy Nelson is also pushing forward. The HMS Nelson is quite a maneuverable battleship, but very lightly armoured and very susceptible to high explosive damage. I should be able to do maximum pen damage to that Nelson. I'm trying to get our kamikaze to fall back. It's bad enough have one player suicide on your flank, but it looks like the kamikaze, he's now also firing his guns. He's in close range combat with that Podvoisky Russian destroyer, and that is going to end badly. And I'm in a position now where I'm no longer able to provide assistance to him. The Nelson now has turned to return to his base in response to our team's push on the opposite flank, and I will be able to punish that Nelson from this position. Vain attempt to try and help our kamikaze, but trying to land shells at long range on fast moving destroyers with the Surrey is going to prove challenging, to say the least. The British heavy cruisers, they just don't have the shell speed to be able to reliably land shells on target, on fast moving targets at long range. The Nelson, however, presents a different challenge. Despite being angled away, I'm able to comfortably land the majority of shells on target. He has repaired that fire. Instantly try and set him on fire again. Now I am being targeted, and it's not the Nelson because he's got his guns angled away. That second battleship is somewhere undetected behind the island. The French Dunkirk. He has fired. I can see the incoming shells. Those land quite short, fortunately. Now I'm just going to use this opportunity to drop detection. He has fired his guns. Okay, I have dropped detection. Just going to angle away. He's still got his guns on me. I'm just going to use this island to break line of sight. The goal here is pretty simple. It's just target denial and give him the impression I'm disengaging, so he turns his guns. Get some shells off before I lose vision. I am still detected, so that destroyer is, or had line of sight on me for a second. Dunkirk, unfortunately, he pulled away. He angled away quickly as well. A quick look at the scoreboard would suggest we have this game comfortably in hand. But never underestimate the ability of your team to throw a game. This is and will remain random battles after all. I've already had virtually my complete flank suicide, so I'm just going to remain focused on getting as much damage on these enemy battleships as possible. Nice 5500 salvo on that enemy Dunkirk, and a fire. He is targeting me. Another 5000 on his bow, which is lightly armoured. He has fired. I'm just going to angle away slightly, a bit more, slow down. He does pen me for about 5000 in return. He has slowed down. Just going to keep him under fire. That Nelson is coming under sustained fire from our teammates now. We have lost a couple of ships. It's now 6 on 4. 200 point lead. And comfortably lob shells over this island at the enemy Dunkirk. Keep them under pressure as much as possible. Going to have a firing angle on this Nelson any second. He would seem to have repaired those fires. He's about to go down regardless. I am able to secure that kill, which is always nice. It's now a 5 on 3 situation. We are still at risk though. There are 2 enemy destroyers, and this Podvoisky has proved a slippery customer. He has slowed there right down. I should be able to get some shells on target. He unfortunately speeded up again. Plenty of torps in the water there. Looks like our Ismail is going to be on the receiving end of that. Did manage to knock out the Podvoisky's engine. It would appear he's not running last stand. Managed to secure the Confederate award. Podvoisky is on fire. Just want to make sure we take this guy out. It's now a 4 on 3 situation. It's paramount I remove this destroyer. The Podvoisky is still burning, but I just want to make sure he does succumb to the fire. Enemy Dunkirk has returned. Is still quite healthy. And once again, I'm just going to use this island to break line of sight. I have set him on fire. He has returned fire. I have slowed my speed here, and the damage is minimal. Set him on fire once again. That's a double fire. I get the high caliber award. And once again I've got a very nice position. He has repaired those fires. Just clip the island there with one of those shells. Now RNG hasn't exactly been on my side, with over 160 shell hits and 10 fires so far, but it's more than respectable. I could have actually slowed down here and held that position behind the island. He has angled inwards. He is fully focused on our Normandy. I am able to set him on fire once again. He does take out our battleship. It's now a 3 on 2 situation. Their enemy destroyer has gone dark. That's a double fire. That will burn uncontrollably. Just going to remain angled and keep kiting away. And this is the playstyle of the HMS Surrey. Focus heavily on your angling and positioning, and maintain fire pressure on these targets at all times. Enemy Dunkirk goes down to fire. We get our 4th kill. We're up over 153,000 damage, which is quite respectable for a tier 7 match. This game ended a few moments later with our New Orleans taking out the Akatsuki, over 150,000 damage, and we get almost 2,000 base XP, couple of achievements, quite a nice game. Before going to the complete ship build, I've added some links including the Help Me Discord and my own personal Discord in the description below. Now on to the build. Starting with the consumables, I always try and stress the importance of using premium to decrease the cooldown time of your damage control and add extra charges of repair party, hydroacoustic search and spotter aircraft. The Surrey gets 4 ship upgrade slots, starting off with Main Armaments Mod 1, Damage Control Mod 1, Aiming Systems Mod 1, and finally Steering Gears Mod 1. Onto the Captain skills, starting with Priority Target, Adrenaline Rush, Superintendent and Concealment Expert for your first 10 points. A very balanced 19-point captain then will include Preventive Maintenance, Expert Loader, Jack of all trades, Expert Marksman and Demolition Expert, in the training order of your own choice. So let's take a look at what this build means for the ship's final stats. For survivability, the Surrey gets 35,300 hit points, which is further enhanced by 4 repair parties. Main artillery consists of 4 X2 203mm guns, 2 in the front and 2 in the rear, with 14.8 kilometers in range and a reload speed of 12.5 seconds. Surrey gets a torpedo rating of 20, with 2 X4 launchers, 1 on each side, with 8 kilometers in range, 61 knots of speed, with a reload time of 96 seconds. Surrey gets an AA defense rating of 58, with a long-range defense of 5.8 kilometers. For maneuverability, Surrey gets a max base speed of 30 knots, a turning circle of 660 meters, and a rudder shift time of only 7.5 seconds. Finally, Surrey has a concealment rating of 72, meaning you will be surface detected at 9.7 kilometers and by aircraft at 5.6 kilometers. I'd like to thank you once again all for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. Take a moment to check out some of my most recent videos and leave a comment below. And until the next time, keep sailing it like you stole it.